Welcome back to Ghost Pirate Entertainment. I'm your host, Kanan Becker, and today we do another deep dive into Prime Video. And with that, let's get to the list.
The Burning.
The Burning is a 1981 slasher horror movie. Directed by Tony Maylam, it stars Brian Matthews, Leah Aries, and Brian Backer. A cruel prank at a summer camp leaves a caretaker horribly burned, and years later, he returns to the camp with a pair of garden shears and a thirst for bloody revenge.
They say he smashed his way through the bunk room door, just a mass of flames. Burned alive, he cried out, "I will return! I will have my revenge!"
This is the perfect summertime type of slasher. I just adore this movie. I love the look of it. It's very nostalgic, very 80s, late 70s, early 80s. It's just one of those things that just has this comfort food almost feel to it. But at the same time, this is a damn good slasher, and it's always surprised me that it never got more of a cult following, that it isn't really thought of more like what Friday the 13th is, because it's a better slasher, especially than the original Friday the 13th. And that may be a hot take, I don't know, but I also know a lot of people haven't seen this, whereas a huge amount of people have seen Friday the 13th. And yes, that turned into Jason. That franchise really changed once Jason had the mask and all that. But the potential for The Burning and The Killer and what could have been done with this movie if it had become a franchise, I think is a real bummer and a shame that we never saw that. I also think this is a perfect candidate for a modern remake. I mean, just the image alone of him holding the shears like this, it's so vicious and brutal and just absolutely iconic. But there's just so much fun in this movie, and for anybody who grew up camping and doing things like summer camps. So unfortunately, I never got to go to a summer camp, but I did do my share of camping. And this does a good job of capturing that and really transporting you into some of your memories from things like this. But the real star of the show here is the kills. I mean, that's what you go to see one of these slashers for, and this definitely delivers. It doesn't disappoint. It gets brutal, it gets gory, it's fairly creative with the way that it does stuff. I just adore this movie. I think it's so much fun and a perfect pick for the summertime vibe. So if you're looking for a summertime slasher that isn't the usual suspects, one you haven't seen or at least not seen for a while, The Burning is an incredible pick. Bloodline is a 2018 psychological horror movie. Directed by Henry Jacobson, it stars Sean William Scott, Mariella Garega, and Del Dickey. A high school counselor with a dark past takes protecting his family a little too far and leaves a bloody trail in his wake.
He gets what he deserves, right?
Hey, buddy. You need a ride? No charge.
I think this is pretty much the definition of a hidden gem. A movie that is very good and has a lot worth seeing, not necessarily a home run or a game changer, but still a very entertaining movie that nobody at all talks about. And it's kind of surprising because Sean William Scott was in a lot of movies, especially back in the early 2000s, but he hasn't really done much lately, and so I didn't expect much from him in this. I didn't expect much from the movie in general. But his performance here is definitely worth the price of admission because he goes so hard in this and is creepy, uncomfortable, very disturbing at times, but yet his charisma still shows. It's a mysterious movie that keeps you guessing through a lot of it and trying to figure out exactly what's going on. But for a little movie, I think it packs a big punch and definitely is worth adding to your list.
I'm ready.
Nosferatu is a 2024 horror movie, written and directed by Robert Eggers. It's a remake of the silent film Nosferatu from 1922, which was an unauthorized adaptation of the 1897 novel Dracula. It stars Bill Skarsgård, Lily Rose Depp, and Nicholas Hoult. It's a gothic tale of obsession between a haunted young woman and the terrifying vampire infatuated with her.
Standing before me was never been so happy.
So if you've been watching this channel for the last 6 months, you know how much I loved this movie. I went and saw it in theaters at least 3 times, I think maybe 4 times, but I also saw it at the drive-ins a couple times. Like, I just love the artistry that's involved in this movie. I understand it's not for everyone. It's definitely slower than what your normal masses are into kind of thing. But there's so much here. There's so many layers. It is just such a beautifully constructed, performed movie on every level. But I have praised this movie more than enough over the last 6 months, so I'm not going to continue on that road. But I just wanted to bring it up on this list today to let everybody know that it is available now if you have a Prime membership for free on the platform. And I think even if you've seen this, it's a fun rewatch. There's a lot of nuance, a lot of little things that I noticed the second and third time that I saw it. There's just so many different storylines, different things that are basically hinted at or overtly said in a way that you don't maybe notice that first time around. But also when you rewatch a movie like this, it's cool to focus on certain performers and see kind of some of the things that they do. Like when you first watched it, you might have been focusing on Lily Rose Depp in a scene, but this time around you can kind of look over and see what Willem Dafoe is doing. And it's just fun to do those things and appreciate a movie like this on such a deeper level. But I personally think Robert Eggers is a master filmmaker, and I cannot wait to see what he does with this upcoming werewolf movie. So if you have yet to check this out, or if it just sounds fun to do a rewatch, definitely check it out while it's on Prime Video.
47 meters down.
47 Meters Down is a 2017 survival horror movie. Directed by Johannes Roberts, it stars Claire Holt and Mandy Moore. The story follows 2 sisters who are invited to go cage diving while on vacation in Mexico. This movie is so intense, and I know it's one of those that had a lot of buzz for a while. Definitely quite a few people have seen it, but I know there's still some out there that haven't, because every now and then I'll talk in conversation about a movie like this, and there's a number of people that are like, whoa, never seen that, never heard of that. And it always kind of surprises me, but then I have to remember that I watch way too many horror movies. But yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen this and don't know much of anything about it, I mean, definitely go into this as blind as you can, because it is incredibly intense, heart-pounding, takes these twists and turns, keeps you guessing, but on top of that, it's a simple concept, but the way that it's shot, the way that it's edited and paced, and then the performances by the actors really make this movie a definite must-see. But besides all that, I think it's another really fun one for the summertime, because a lot of people in the summer go on vacations and definitely go to the beach. So for me anyway, this has a very summer vibe to it. But like I said, if you've never seen this, I think it's a definite must-watch.
Is already out there in all of us.
Censor is a 2021 psychological horror movie. Directed by Prano Bailey Bond, it stars Nima Algar, Nicholas Burns, and Vincent Franklin. It's about a British film censor who links a disturbing horror movie to her sister's disappearance and vows to unravel the mystery.
There's this actress. I've got this feeling that it's Nina. Oh, my sister.
I really dig this movie. It has so much style, but it's very much a slow burn. There's a lot of artsiness to it. So right then and there, I know that a lot of you will tune out. It's not your jam, and that's fine. But if for those of you that are still hanging around and haven't seen this, I'm telling you, if you dig slow burn, creative, weird movies, man, this one is really cool. Because it really is the definition of slow burn, where it's just slowly but surely moving along down this road, taking you into this weird mystery. But then ultimately there is a huge payoff in this movie, and it definitely goes for it in the final act. But the performance from Nima Algar is really special in this. She is fantastic. I had never heard of her or seen her really in anything prior to this, but just the performance she gives here, because there's this real kind of held back, guarded quality where she seems void of emotion and all of that. But as the movie goes and things intensify, you start to see those emotions coming out and you start to see all that produced from her. And I'm always impressed when there's performances like that, where there's a very controlled way of saying things and mannerisms and all that, but you can see kind of behind the eyes that there's more to it than that. I also love the look of it, and the movie itself kind of has that feel where it looks muted, it looks gray, there doesn't seem to be much going on for a while, and then ultimately it just gets bright and bold and violent and savage. I also really like that it talks about and deals with the video nasties of the 80s and 90s, where a lot of movies, the ones that we grew up with here in America, were banned over there, or they were very, very neutered for censorship reasons. And this talks about some of that and dives into some of that. And it caused me to kind of go down a rabbit hole and watch some documentaries and different things about the video nasties, because it was something I didn't know much of anything about. But I think this is a real treasure that for the right audience, it's definitely worth your time.
Sometimes dead is better.
Pet Sematary Bloodlines is a 2023 supernatural horror movie, directed by Lindsay Anderson Beer in her directorial debut. It serves as a prequel to Pet Sematary from 2019, which was based on the 1983 novel of the same name by Stephen King. It stars Jackson White, Henry Thomas, and David Duchovny. In 1969, a young Judd Crandall and his childhood friends band together to confront an ancient evil that has gripped their hometown of Ludlow.
Dead things buried in that land will come back. There's something else.
So don't get it twisted from the synopsis. This movie is not like an It ripoff by any means, because from reading that synopsis, it sounds like, you know, a bunch of boys like in It, or kids basically going and attacking this evil and all that. That's not really the case here. It has a very, very different feel to it than that. For one, it's not kids. They're all grown-ups. They're just people that have known each other since they were kids. But this movie, I think, got way too harshly hated when it was released, because I understand it's not a classic. It's not, you know, something that we're going to be talking about and remembering for years and years to come. However, it still is super entertaining and it looks great. I really enjoyed it. Yes, there is some retconning that I understand people being irritated by, but I think unless you're like a huge fan of the past properties, you know, the 2019 movie or the 89 movie or the book, if you're a huge fan of those things, then you're going to pick this apart and probably not enjoy it at all. But if you're like me and casually enjoy all those movies, but I wouldn't call myself a diehard or anything, I'm okay with things being changed just a little bit and just going along for the ride. And I really had a great time with this movie. It's creepy, it's uncomfortable, it gets weird. The performances in it are really good, especially Jackson White, but you also had Henry Thomas, who's phenomenal in everything he's in, and then of course the great David Duchovny. But I think if you're just in the mood for an entertaining popcorn type of movie, this is a really, really good pick. Bliss is a 2019 horror movie. Written and directed by Joe Begos, it stars Dora Madison, True Collins, and Jeremy Gardner. A brilliant painter facing the worst creative block of her life turns to anything she can to complete her masterpiece, spiraling into a hallucinatory hellscape of drugs, sex, and murder.
I started painting again. I don't know, something came over me and then it all just started pouring out of me. I don't even remember doing it.
Like you blacked out?
So I am such a big fan of this movie. It is my favorite of Joe Begos' movies. Like, I really like pretty much everything he's done. He has this gritty kind of style to him that is definitely not for everyone. There's a vulgar quality, a lot of swearing and all that. But this to me is his best to date. It feels the most well-rounded. The cast is incredible, especially Dora Madison. She is just phenomenal in this film. And it was the first one I had ever seen with her in it. But her performance in it really carries it. Besides that, as someone who's done painting and sculpture for a living and done it on a professional level, there is so much here that I identified with and really gravitated to this movie, and I think that's a lot of the reason why it kind of hit me so hard and why I appreciate it so much. But I also think everybody can relate to this creative struggle. No matter what your job is, no matter what you do, there are times when you just can't come up with the answers to whatever the problem is, be it math or life in general. You just need to figure these things out and you just can't. But this movie is also incredibly fun and so unhinged, because by the end of it, it is just batshit crazy. Absolutely caught me off guard and surprised me. I did not expect it to go as hard as it does. But if you're one of the lucky ones out there that have yet to see Bliss, do yourself a favor and check this one out.
Remain silent forever. Starring Bruce Campbell from Evil Dead, Maniac Cop.
Maniac Cop is a 1988 slasher horror movie. Directed by William Lustig, it stars Tom Atkins, Bruce Campbell, and Laura Landon. A killer dressed in a police uniform begins to murder innocent people on the streets of New York City.
Maniac Cop?
You may be getting information from inside the department.
That means he is one of us.
This is one of my favorite of all the 80s classic movies. It's one that definitely has a cult following. It's never gotten to the level, though, of a lot of other 80s slashers. It did get sequels, though, and they're all a lot of fun, but there is definitely something about this first one that I think is just magic. Everything from the way that it looks, the cast. I mean, I love Tom Atkins. I love Bruce Campbell. They're phenomenal in this, but there's definitely a bit of camp in it, just enough that it's fun without being slapstick or silly. Like, this movie isn't trying to be goofy or anything, but part of it is the era that it was made. Some of the effects and different things that are done do have a little bit of a humorous quality about them. But it's also a full-on slasher that shows gore, and I mean, it definitely goes for it in ways as well. But for me personally, Maniac Cop is just a blast and absolutely deserves to be talked about more. Blood Vessel is a 2019 horror movie, co-written and directed by Justin Dix. It stars Alyssa Sutherland, Robert Taylor, and Nathan Phillips. During World War II, a lifeboat of survivors board a German ship and soon begin to realize it's crawling with vampires.
You know, whatever happened on this ship, it wasn't gremlins, something far more real. They brought these caskets on board. One of these things got out.
This is such a cool charm to it. It very much feels like something from the 80s. Even though it's a modern movie, just the campy quality, the way the special effects are mostly practical, and just the mask and the different things, the way it looks aesthetically very much feels like something that could have been made in the 90s or 80s. But for such a small production kind of film, they do a really good job with the set design, costume design. The different suits and all that stuff feels really period accurate. Much more than you would expect for such a small movie that is never talked about. But it's really not anything to take serious, so don't go into this to pick it apart, because if you do, you're not going to really enjoy it. It's very much a popcorn kind of movie, but of just a fun, entertaining vampire kind of popcorn movie. It gets violent and gory and over the top with lots of vampire fun. But I think if you're looking for a new vampire movie to check out this weekend, this is a great pick.
Just think, maybe if she did do blowjobs, she'd still be alive.
Yeah, let's not make that the lesson.
Totally Killer is a 2023 comedy horror slasher. Directed by Nahnatchka Khan, it stars Kiernan Shipka, Olivia Holt, and Julie Bowen. When the infamous Sweet 16 killer returns 35 years after his first killing spree to kill again, 17-year-old Jamie accidentally travels back to 1987, determined to stop the killer before he can start.
I'd like to report a crime that hasn't happened yet. Have you seen the movie Back to the Future? Basically, I'm living that movie right now, which is how I know there's gonna be a murder tonight.
So I swear, every time Blumhouse releases a movie, I am always reminded that this one didn't go to theaters. Another one that drives me crazy that they didn't release in theaters either is House on the Bayou. This one and that are both really good movies that definitely deserved theatrical runs. I think this movie especially would have been a big hit. As it was, quite a few people saw it and talked about it. There was some buzz. But if it had been in theaters, man, this would have been a real hit. And just the people that make decisions over at Blumhouse really frustrate me sometimes. But I talk about that all the time on the podcast on Wednesdays. That's not what I'm here for today. Today I'm talking about this movie because I love it. I think it's a perfect balance of that fun teen slasher mixed with comedy, mixed with this supernatural sci-fi element. Just the way it's all put together really works. And especially because of the cast, because Kiernan Shipka has been great in everything I've seen her in. She was fantastic in Sabrina over on Netflix. She was absolutely incredible in Longlegs, but just every time I see her pop up in something, I know I'm going to see an incredible performance because she just really commits to every role that she plays. But then you also have Olivia Holt in this, who was just amazing earlier this year in Hard Eyes. Like, who did not have a crush on her in that movie? She's beautiful, funny, and just fun, but she's great in this too. A very different role in this than she was in Hard Eyes, but still, she does a really good job in both these movies. And yeah, as someone who did grow up in the 80s and 90s, they didn't get everything right. There's definitely some stuff that I thought was, very movie, but that's what you see a lot. We're seeing a lot of these movies that take place in the 80s and 90s, and a lot of the stuff that goes down in these is not really the way things exactly were. It's more of what younger people now envision the 80s and 90s to be. But I personally was easily able to roll with that because of the reason it's that way. It's just meant to be fun and funny and lighthearted, and this has that. But then it also gets gory, violent, and very slasher on top of it. But I think the tone of this is very, very similar to Hard Eyes. So if you saw that movie and really enjoyed it, I think you'll absolutely dig this one as well. But either way, I think it's a perfect pick for this Saturday night. So do yourself a favor this weekend, pick one of the movies off of this list, grab your popcorn and your candy, and enjoy! And like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button. And remember, guys, horror can be fun. And I'll see you all next time.